You've got ideas, you've got ambition, you've got no time, or so you think. I'm Marissa Lonick, and I help busy moms with big dreams and no time. Join me each week as I dive into time management strategies, goal setting and achieving framework, and inspiring guests who are juggling mom life, work life, fill in the blank life. Dreams don't work unless you do, and just because you're a mom doesn't mean you can't still make it happen, whatever it means to you. Welcome to the Mama Work It podcast. Hello, mama friends. Welcome back to another awesome episode of the Mama Work It podcast. If you're new around here, I'm your host, Marissa Lonick, working mom of four and founder of Mama Work It, where we support women in the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. This week is for my moms in the service-oriented business or wanting to start one. I was recently introduced to my guest today, Alyssa Bellisario, and I just want to say I was so impressed from the moment I met her. Alyssa is a certified online business manager and a course launch strategist, where she helps visionary CEOs and coaches build and launch profitable courses, group programs, and memberships. Basically, Alyssa helps you make tons of money doing something you love without sacrificing all your time, energy, and sanity along the way. Alyssa is on a mission to help create consistent cash flow revenue streams outside of the typical one-on-one coaching model. And I'll just say, if you like what you hear on today's episode, you are going to want to be sure to think about signing up for our next round of Biz Momagement Club, which begins on September 18th, because Alyssa is going to be our November guest expert in there. And she's diving deep into all things launching a new service with some serious tips and hacks for making it rain dollar bills. So if you join us, you will get direct access to Alyssa to learn from her, to ask her all your questions, and even the opportunity to work with her one-on-one afterwards. Alyssa, you and I have worked together, so I know firsthand how powerful your strategies are, and I can't wait to give our listeners a little taste of that today on the show. So thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and for your listeners to get the strategies and support that they're looking for.
Awesome. Okay, well, I always love to start these interviews with just our guests telling us a little bit about how they got started, where they are. So tell us, how did you get started as an online business manager and launch strategist? I'm super curious.
Of course. So I've actually spent a decade of my career in education. So I knew fairly quickly how much I loved being a professor. So I've been a professor since 2018. It's one of my loves. So I teach, I coach, I mentor. It's not just about lecturing. It's about making an impact in every person or every student that walks through that door. And it comes very easy for me. And so a friend had just casually mentioned, you would be a great fit to be an online business manager. And, she was telling me that, it allows for flexibility. I could help businesses create courses. I do it anyway. Why not try it out? And so, because I have that curriculum-based experience working as a professor and improving the courses of the college, it just seemed like all the right pieces just fit. And so since 2021, I've become a certified online business manager, but I have niched within the OBM business. So when you are an OBM, you can niche down based on your expertise and skill set. And what I really love to do is really help coaches build courses, group programs, and memberships. And has become a really intense passion for me. And it's really something that I love to do. I love to help coaches help market their offer to their audience, how to prepare for a launch plan, and really see the results that they're looking for. And I've really found my place and my passion and really what I've been known for the last couple of years.
That's amazing. I love asking this question because even when I personally know guests outside of this podcast, I always learn something new. So I did not know that you were also a professor. That's awesome. What do you teach?
So I teach two courses. I teach a computer applications class, which we do a Microsoft Office run through, so Excel, Word, PowerPoint. But then I also give them some other apps like Notion, Trello, Whimsical. So we go through the newer apps that have come in, from the industry. And so I take them through that and ways that they could be more productive. And then I also teach an industrial workplace preparation class, which helps them prepare for life outside as a student. So when they graduate, how do they get a job? How do you prepare your resume and your cover letter? How do you interview? What do you wear? So we go through a 12-week 101 of how to get a job after graduation. And so it's been such a life learning. I love making an impact, and my students are, every year, every semester they say, Alyssa, like, you are one of the most thorough teachers that I've had. I've have countless reports of students who are like, you have changed my life. Like, they are now working in places of, that they love. And it's just because I've been there mentoring and coaching along the way. So from that experience, and what I continue to experience is that impact that I also make with coaches. It's the same high that I get every single time.
I
It's
love
great.
that. Alyssa, I don't know if you knew this. You probably didn't. I was an adjunct professor early in my career. We share this commonality. Yes.
Wow. That's great. Yeah. And teachers make great coaches.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
so cool. And I love that the things that you're teaching are really the practical, I mean, a little bit different, but really still in that practical world of helping you achieve what you want to achieve, which is what you're doing as a launch strategist. So,
Yes.
yeah. So let's talk about launches a little bit. Launches can
Mhm.
feel daunting, right? There's a lot that goes into it. Some people feel like they always have to be on, they always have to be marketing, they always have to be selling during these periods, which God, even just saying this out loud, it's like making me exhausted. So, how do you prevent burnout when you are preparing for a launch?
Yes, so it can be overwhelming. And I have to say, most businesses in preparation, when they're preparing for a launch, I would say 98% rush into it. So they are these visionary CEOs with big ideas, lots of ambition. They're wild, they have these impulsive personalities. But they want to see big results. And so, in a very short amount of time. And this is where we see the disconnect. Now, the problem with this is that it will lead to huge disappointment. Um, your launch needs to be this calculated, purposeful. It has to align with your product suite. It has to be the right timing. It should feel right. It should not stress you out. And we experience burnout because we're doing too much. And it's very common along solopreneurs, people with small teams, to experience that burnout fairly quickly, more so than the large team or the large businesses, because they have people who are helping them out. When you're a solopreneur, you're doing this yourself most of the time. You may have an assistant, but in most cases, you are the person, and that can lead to burnout fairly quickly. So, the best way that you can prevent burnout is to really create enough buffer time. I cannot stress this enough. If you are someone who struggles with deadlines, and you get stressed out by, the timelines, or you feel like you rush into them, build it into your launch plan, where you're giving yourself an extra few months just to get things together. um, Launches typically take, I'd say, between 8 to 16 weeks of preparation. I know that seems like a really long time, um, but we do that because you need to give your audience and yourself a good runway to build awareness for your product or whatever you're offering. And so you need to give yourself some grace, some patience. It will make a world of a difference. You will go into your launch feeling, oh, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. I am set. I have all my assets together, and everything just feels like it falls into place. So in doing that, your audience will be reciprocal of that. So they will feel like they're not pressured to buy from you, and you'll feel more connected to them, and what they need from you and what their desires are.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said this because I have definitely fallen victim to that like visionary CEO mentality. I wouldn't say I'm impulsive, but I absolutely get really excited about things and then can also drop down from that excitement really quickly, especially when I don't see results when I want to see them. So I love that you said this. I like the window that you're even telling us, the 8 to 16 weeks, because when I first heard this, when we started working together, I mean, part of me was like, okay, it makes sense. And the other part of me was like a little bit shocked. Like, that's a long time. That's a long time to be continuously hammering at the same idea. God, like I get sick of hearing myself talk about the same thing over and over again. But then you have to remember the algorithm's not showing it to everyone all the time. Who's not opening your emails, all of them, right? Like who's not seeing this stuff? Like you do have to sort of get sick of talking about it during a launch period.
Exactly. Yes. And your audience as well, you're always going to have the new audience as well who are going to be looking at your emails or hearing it for the first time. So taking that into account as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So our audience, we're busy working moms. What are the best type of launches for us?
Yes. So I would say if you are a mom with multiple kids, you have a tight schedule with limited working hours, I would say the best launches that you can do that doesn't require like a huge time commitment on your part. I mean, of course, a live launch would be preferred, just because you can build those connections faster with your audience, through a webinar or a masterclass to pitch your offer. But there are several ways to launch. And I know that there is this debate between live launching and evergreen, where, it's on a continuous basis. But you could do something called a founding members launch. So this is where you gather a very small group of people from your network to enroll at a special rate. So this could include perks that you offer to that small group before you open it to the public. So a founding members launch doesn't always have to be for a membership. This could be for a course. And you're looking inside your network. So people who already know you, they're already comfortable with you, they're familiar with what you do. These are the people who are your warm audience. And so these are the kinds of people that are going to be in your world more often than the cold audience. I will say this, a cold audience is very hard to convince. You will spend a lot of your money and your time convincing your cold audience to buy. So you really want to look inside your network of people that are more inclined to buy from you because they know you, they trust you, they like you. And so you could do a soft launch, where you only launch the people inside your networks, people that you already know, have already conversations with. So these are like your email list, people you've connected with before. Um, so a soft launch, a founding members launch, keeping it small is, especially if this is your first launch and you've never launched before. If this is your first time and you're just testing the waters, something like that could be very beneficial because you can get those intimate testimonials and those reviews that you need in order to launch again, where you can actually scale your launch. So with something like a beta launch, if you're just testing the waters right now, you're not really sure if your course or group program is going to sell, you could offer it as a test, to a test group. And this would be at like a heavily discounted rate. So in exchange for testimonials and feedback on your course or group program, this works 99% of the time because people love to enroll and to work with you at a discounted rate, and they're happy to give you their testimonials, and those testimonials will turn into your marketing assets for your next bigger launch. So this is where patience and grace comes into play because everything has their own timeline. So if you're launching for the first time, this is a first product that you're offering, you're going to want to offer it as either a test, so a beta launch, or a founding members launch to a small group of people. Gather those testimonials, then do a launch later on where it's bigger, it's scalable, and you can really open it to the public and do the whole launch in its entirety. But launches do not have to be complicated. And this is where we're fed this dream that, making six figures in one launch. Yes, that is true. You can, but you're also spending a lot of money to make six figures. So it kind of all balances out in the end. And so what my bottom line is, launches, do not make it complicated. You just need to get out there and start. And that is where you're going to find the most success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk courses a little more. I know this is a big part of what you support people with. I love a good course, not only as a student, but also as a creator, as a teacher, because once you do it, once you create it, then it's passive income forever, right? Or until you
Yes.
decide to stop selling it. So, boom, I love that. Some people, they're intimidated by creating a course. So, what are some of the misconceptions you hear when it comes to creating or launching courses in your business?
Yeah, I would say that in terms of creating courses, there are a few misconceptions in the industry. So I do think that we're sold this dream that we can sell courses automatically without a presence. So we create a course and boom, done. We never have to touch it again. This is actually false. People buy because people feel validated. They feel heard by the creator. They feel like they can relate to you. So, in a sense, you are the face of the brand. So, you do need to have a presence, even if you've created this course that you can offer repeatedly. You still need to show up in a way where people can feel like they trust you, they like you, and they know that you can give them the transformation that they're looking for. I would say another misconception is that a DIY course is the way to make reoccurring income. Now, this is have been a misconception such a long time, and the issue with a do-it-yourself course is that people generally need more help. So when you look at your audience, I would say there's a maybe 1 to 2% of people who actually do not need any help. They can do a do-it-yourself course and be okay, and they can implement it, and everything is just peachy. But the problem with it is that there's 98% of your population, of your audience, needs more help. They cannot just have a do-it-yourself course and be successful. And this is where we see a large drop off of people who they join the DIY, they're very excited, low price, they log in maybe a couple times, and then they don't do the work or they don't implement. And then it's like this cycle of, well, what happened? Why didn't I get results? If you want your clients to see transformation, they need to step away from that DIY course and join your group program for accountability, for support, for community. Um, it's not just about creating that DIY course and selling it. It's more about impact. It's more connection. Um, that is where you're going to see the most success in your business, and where you can actually scale is that people can see that you can get them the results that they're looking for. A DIY course, they're never guaranteed that they're going to get the results. I mean, not in a group program either, but as they're more likely to get that result because you're there helping them through it. And I would say the last misconception is that it takes the time it takes to build a course or group program or membership. You can't just build that in just a weekend. They really need a thoughtful, planned out system to make sure you hit all those major areas of a course. So things like a community. Do you have a live call schedule? Do you have workbooks? Do you have video content? Do you have monthly Q&A calls for them to ask questions? So having a very thoughtful, planned out layout of how you're going to get your audience from point A to point B will make a world of a difference.
Thank you for sharing this. I am taking it all in. I love a healthy debate. Can I challenge this a little bit?
Of course.
I've got courses and I've got group programs and I've got one-on-one programs. So I've kind of dabbled in all of these, and I still sell them consistently. And so I hear what you're saying, and I see that. I think I'm guilty of it myself. I sign up for a course that's on demand and then I never touch it. I mean, it's definitely something that happens. I also feel like for some people, and you said a small population will definitely go and do it, but for some people, like the on demand is preferable just based on like, oh, I can never make those group calls, or, I'm an introvert. I like to learn solo or whatever it is. So I want to be able to serve that population in that way. But I keep in mind what you said about the fact that like people will often sign up. And I mean, I've talked to women, moms, dropping thousands of dollars on demand courses and then never looking at them. So I really know that this is happening and this is true. And the one way that I wanted to ensure that this wouldn't happen with my on demand time management program, because you can do this with me as your coach or you can do it solo, you have that option, is I created automated daily check ins for my people. And I think this is a really smart way. I mean, not to pat my own back, but I do think this is a really smart way. If you're listening, if you do want this passive income, but you can't necessarily bridge that gap with either whatever else you're managing or just with one product suite that you have, is some sort of daily touch point or weekly touch point or whatever that is that works. And you can automate this like I did, but it still allows that person to feel connected to you as their coach, as their teacher, as their motivator throughout the program. Um, and it, I think, keeps them focused and accountable. I mean, it's worked in my business. So, like, one kind of way around that, if that's something that you're looking to do, because I still do think courses are wonderful ways to create passive income. I really do. I've got several courses out there that just every month I'm getting a check for, and it's not because I don't want to show up, but I'm showing up in other ways for my community. So I like that
Yes.
you brought this up. I think this is interesting.
It is. And I do think that if you're going to do a DIY, have a community of some kind, even if it's through WhatsApp or through Facebook group or however you like to communicate, because then you're still checking in with an assistant who's checking in, or someone, and building that community at the same time to offer future courses. So there
Yeah.
are lots of ways around it.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What are some of your best strategies, Alyssa? I know you can't give us all of them and you've got plenty, but maybe just one or two strategies for dealing with stress when you're
Mhm.
preparing for a launch, because it can be a stressful time.
It is. And it can get the best of you. And then what happens is you either stop the launch altogether, you just pause, or you freeze. You're in the freeze mode. And um, in mid-launch, your team is ready to go, but then you're not, and you just don't know what to do. And so I think one of the biggest stressors of a launch is setting those unrealistic expectations. So what is expected of you during the launch? What is expected of your team? In every launch, I have to say, something always goes wrong. I
Hmm.
have come to this conclusion. There is never a perfect launch. You always forget something. And I always, as a launch manager, I could do one of the best launches. I was a part of a $450,000 launch for a client, and there was always something missed. And I have come to the conclusion, even if you're making six figures, five figures, whatever it is, you're going to forget something. And so, one of the best strategies is to keep an open mind, to remain calm, and look at every possible situation. So, if the launch isn't bringing in sales, okay, what can you do? Can you pivot mid launch? Absolutely. Can you refine your messaging a bit more? Maybe you're not speaking to the right audience. Um, really take a look at your sales, your messaging. Have a have a backup plan if things go sideways. That will just help to release a lot of that tension and that stress of like, what if it doesn't go my way? You have a backup plan in case you do need to pivot mid launch and do something else. And your team is aware of that and they feel prepared in case that does happen. I would say another strategy is to really utilize the people on your team. You are not alone. I mean, I know a lot of solopreneurs, it's just them. But if if you can outsource and you can afford to outsource, I would say 100% do that. Even if you had an assistant with a bucket of hours, like a virtual assistant, just helping you out. Utilize the people that you can within the launch budget that you have. So I even don't even recommend preparing for a launch on your own entirely, because that in itself will stress you out the most. And so, with looming deadlines, I would say delegating tasks is one of the best things that you can do for your business, even if you have to outsource to just one person, just to take care of a few things. That will alleviate so much stress off your plate. And it will really help you become more confident in that you can actually do this launch, even if you have all these deadlines that are coming at you at once, or that it feels like that.
Yeah, such good advice. Such good advice. It's hard. It's hard when you're a solopreneur because not only maybe are you in a space in your business where maybe you've been doing it all and, monetarily it feels challenging to now outsource and delegate and pay for that, but maybe you're a little bit of a perfectionist too. And you just feel like you can do it best and it's hard to let go of some of that.
Yes, yeah, it can be hard, but it's 100% worth it when you utilize the team, because they are ready. They're ready to help you out. And so,
Mhm.
um, if you're a perfectionist and you really just need everything to be perfect, I would say try to let that go as much as possible, because your audience wants what you're offering. So just remember that as you're going along.
Okay. Yeah. All right. One more launch question here, then we're going to get into our fun, random lightning round. But I think this is a really good one to ask. So, if you know me, you know I'm a big mindset person. Your mindset's responsible for 80 to 95% of your success, depending what study you look at. So, your mindset's a big factor in your launch here. Alyssa, how can you shift your mindset to sort of overcome the fear of failure when you're in launch mode?
Yes. So I would say failure is really inevitable in business. Like, I have learned this the last couple years. It's inevitable. You cannot get away from it. Nobody can. Nobody has this launch and then it's 100% perfect. Like, something will go wrong, and then, but you know what? You learn from that. And so when I first, someone once said when I first started my business is that money is a renewable source. So you have to think about that. Um, it's not just coming from one place, it's coming from multiple places. There will always be new opportunities around the corner, new clients to work with. Everything eventually just aligns as you find your niche, and the people that you want to work with. You will, you will welcome failure into your business, because that means that something needs to change. So, or something needs to pivot. Change in business is an absolutely good thing. It gets you away from what wasn't working. So, there's so much stigma around this preventing failure, but I feel like we need to fail in order to get good at what we do. So, for myself in building courses and memberships, I mean, yes, I had experience as a professor, great, but um, I learned along the way with working with clients, failing, having really bad days, and my work. Sometimes my work wasn't up to par, and like when I was really new, and I, really didn't know how this whole business worked, and so I know how easily you can get frustrated at that, but that's a good thing, because on the other side of that is that you're going to be a better business owner. You're going to be better at working with clients, and eventually your reputation and what you're known for, you will get there. 3 years ago, nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew what I did. And now I market based on referrals and word of mouth. And it's just been this amazing opportunity, at every corner. I'm seeing, opportunities, not just money, but just connecting with other people. So I would say that, when you are failing at these things, or when you feel like you have this fear, um, just do it. Don't overthink it. Just do the thing that scares you the most. That will in itself build resilience. And it will build that skill of not giving up, just because there's constant obstacles in our path. And there will always be obstacles, whether you're at 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures. I would say the problems become bigger and scarier, but you can get past them. It is 100% possible that whatever you're facing that is scary, you can 100% get through it. And then you'll be better on the other side, and way more ready to get through it.
Yeah. So build your resilience muscle. Keep failing forward is basically what I'm hearing you say. I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, let's get into our lightning round. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, Alyssa. These are just some random questions. We just want to get to know you a little bit more personally. So tell us, what is your guilty pleasure TV show?
I would say Gilmore Girls. So I've been watching Gilmore Girls since I was like a teenager. But my 7-month-old daughter, she watches it with me and she loves it. And it's like she's fascinated by it. And I think because Gilmore Girls, if you notice the show, it's a lot slower in nature. And so she can follow along. But she gets excited when she hears like the intro come on. It's super cute because it's like mom and daughter, mom and daughter. Like I just find it's like full circle.
Well, that's adorable. I love that. What if you could have any superpower? What would it be?
Ooh, a superpower. Okay, so a superpower for business, I would say I would want to learn how to read people's minds so that I could create offers that would speak to their needs and desires. I'd say that would cut half of my time. When you're creating or when you're in business and trying to figure out what do people want, if I could just read their minds and they could tell me what they want in their mind, that would just make it a lot easier.
I feel like you have this superpower a little bit, Alyssa, because when I came to you, I mean, I knew what I wanted and you delivered. Like on the spot, you
Intuition.
delivered. Yes. Okay. And that's a powerful tool and we have it.
Mhm. Yeah,
All right.
definitely.
What is one app you could not live without?
Oh, this is an interesting one. And I mean, I hate to say it, but I've really grown to love TikTok for its educational videos, not so much the dancing videos. But I've caught myself doom scrolling, as they call it.
Yes.
There's just a lot of information on there on parenting and business, and just it's just been so helpful. Like I just love going there. I mean, sometimes I catch myself just scrolling through, and there's always these such good helpful hacks and tips, and I'm just drawn to it. So you'll
Yeah.
catch me at midnight on TikTok.
On TikTok. All right. All right. For the educational value, not the dance moves.
Not really, no. Educational for sure.
All right. And finally, what's something most people don't know about you?
Interesting. So I rarely speak about this. Only my college students know this about me. So I mean, I rarely speak about my career as a professor, but as a professor, as you know, I absolutely love it. But you would immediately think that I would be an excellent public speaker because I teach students, right? I actually am terrified of public speaking. And I talk about this story to my college students every single semester, and they are flabbergasted at what? You're scared of public speaking, but you're a professor. What are you talking about? I literally have to psych myself up before I enter a classroom. And they were just so blown away by the irony of like, you're a teacher, but you're scared of public speaking. And so, I would say that doing something outside of my comfort zone, like that, has really pushed me in ways that have really given me opportunities to excel in my life and in my business. And I carry that with me when I'm faced with any challenges or obstacles that are in my way. I just do it, and I don't really kind of overthink it. I'm like, I'm doing this, and I get through it, even though I am terrified. And I just feel like the look on their faces when I tell them that I'm scared of public speaking, they feel so like, oh my God, oh my goodness, I feel so much better because, they also feel the same way when they have to present. So,
Yeah. Oh, thank you for
yeah.
sharing that. I find that so hard to believe, but of course I know you're being honest here, but like you're so seamless like when you talk.
Yeah. Yes. But, it's like going on stage. It's like when they pick you out of the crowd and you have to go and speak, it's like, yeah, I'm totally afraid, but I get through it though. I do it anyways. And that's, I think, is a lesson in itself that you can do anything you put your mind to.
Absolutely. So true. All right. Well, on that note, Alyssa, tell our listeners where they can find you.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram. I am there 24/7, even during the middle of the night. And you can message me on Instagram. That's the best way. Or you can go to alyssabellisario.com, and I have a list of my services and offers that I have. And you can check that out. But if you want more of a conversation with me, hit me up on Instagram and you'll be able to get an instant reply from me. I love having those conversations on Instagram. And we can chat about whether or not a course is right for you and if this is something that you'd like to do in your business.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Alyssa. We'll have all those links in the show notes today as well. And as a reminder, Alyssa is our November guest expert in Biz Management Club. She's going through all things launch strategy, going deeper than she even went today with lots of tips, hacks, strategies, all the things. So if you want that access, be sure to join us in our next cohort of Biz Management Club. All right. Thanks again, Alyssa, for being here.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Mama Work It podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and would love if you could take a quick minute to leave me a review on whichever platform you're listening from, and maybe even send a note to a fellow mama friend recommending it. Reviews and recs help this podcast grow and reach more like-minded, awesome moms. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click that button so we can stay in touch, girl. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Mama Work It website, please do. There are lots of free resources and great articles there that can help you with the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. So head on over. Thanks again for being part of the tribe. I'll see you soon, but in the meantime, keep on working it, mama.